You've probably seen the symbol RX on prescription bottles, pharmacy signs, and medical forms. It's one of the most recognizable symbols in healthcare, yet most people have no idea what it actually means. Why those two letters? Where did they come from, and how did they become associated with medicine? The answer takes us back centuries into the history of language, pharmacy, and medical practice. Today, we're exploring the fascinating story behind RX, right here, on History of Simple Things. Few symbols are as closely linked to healthcare as RX. In many countries, seeing those letters immediately tells people that a medication requires authorization from a licensed healthcare professional. What's interesting is that RX doesn't seem to stand for anything obvious in modern English. Unlike many abbreviations, its meaning isn't immediately clear. To understand it, we need to go back hundreds of years. The most widely accepted explanation traces RX to the Latin word recipe. Today, the English word recipe usually refers to cooking instructions, but in Latin, recipe had a different meaning. It was a command that meant take thou, or simply take. The word came from the Latin verb recipere, meaning to receive or to take. For centuries, physicians wrote instructions for pharmacists using Latin. When a doctor prescribed medicine, the prescription often began with the word recipe, essentially telling the pharmacist to take the listed ingredients and prepare the remedy. A typical prescription might start with recipe and then continue with quantities of herbs, minerals, or other medicinal substances. Over time, physicians and pharmacists, who often wrote by hand and worked under pressure, began abbreviating the word. Rather than writing the entire word recipe, they developed shorthand symbols. Eventually, the abbreviation evolved into the familiar RX that we recognize today. This explanation is supported by centuries of medical writing and remains the most widely accepted origin among historians of medicine. The story makes sense when we remember how important Latin once was in medicine. For centuries, it served as the common language of scholars and physicians throughout Europe. Medical textbooks, diagnoses, and prescriptions were routinely written in Latin. Doctors from different countries could communicate using a shared professional language even when their native languages differed. Many medical abbreviations still have Latin origins. RX is simply one of the most visible examples that survived into everyday life. Another theory suggests that RX may be connected to the symbol of Jupiter, the chief god of Roman mythology. In ancient times, medicine and religion were often intertwined. Some historians believe physicians may have placed Jupiter's symbol at the beginning of prescriptions as a request for divine blessing and successful healing. Over time, that symbol may have evolved into something resembling RX. While the idea is fascinating, historians generally consider the Latin recipe explanation stronger because it has more direct documentary evidence. Centuries ago, medicines were rarely mass-produced. Instead, pharmacists prepared remedies individually for each patient. Doctors prescribed combinations of ingredients, and pharmacists measured, mixed, and compounded them by hand. Prescriptions often contained herbs, minerals, oils, and other substances thought to have healing properties. Because these instructions frequently began with the command recipe, the abbreviation became a convenient way to signal the start of a prescription. Over generations, the symbol became a standard part of pharmacy practice. Many old medical customs disappeared, but RX survived. One reason is simplicity. The symbol is instantly recognizable and easy to use. As medicine moved from handwritten notes to printed forms and eventually electronic records, RX remained useful. Another reason is tradition. Healthcare relies heavily on standardization, and replacing a symbol understood for generations offered little advantage. The symbol also became deeply embedded in public culture through pharmacy signs, packaging, and advertising. The RX symbol also represents an important distinction in modern healthcare. Some medicines can be purchased directly over the counter because they are considered safe for self-use when directions are followed. Others require professional supervision because they may have stronger effects, greater risks, or important interactions with other medications. The RX symbol helps communicate that a medicine requires authorization from a healthcare provider. Today, many prescriptions are transmitted electronically, and some doctors never write them by hand at all. Despite these technological changes, RX remains everywhere, from pharmacy websites and healthcare apps to insurance documents and prescription labels. Its continued use shows how powerful symbols can be. Even as medicine evolves, familiar symbols often remain because they communicate meaning instantly. The next time you spot RX on a prescription bottle or pharmacy sign, you'll know there's far more history behind it than meets the eye. What appears to be a simple abbreviation likely began as the Latin word recipe, meaning take, written by physicians centuries ago as instructions for pharmacists preparing medicines by hand. Along the way, it survived the decline of Latin, the transformation of pharmacy, the rise of modern medicine, and the shift to digital healthcare. Whether viewed as a practical abbreviation, a historical tradition, or one of the world's most recognizable medical symbols, RX offers a fascinating glimpse into how the past continues to shape everyday life. And all of that history is hidden inside just two tiny characters. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.